Hey my fellow Sonic fans. Well, it's pretty obvious that one of our favorite gaming characters is in some trouble. Sega in the last several years has released too many either bad or subpar Sonic games, and it's really hurting the Sonic gaming series, which is a damn shame. I decided to create this discussion piece to discuss what the next few Sonic games in the series should be. My first idea is an interesting one. Given how the last few 3D Sonic games have been a hit and miss, I think until a good 3D Sonic game can be developed, it's time to go back to the 2D style gameplay to a degree. I think Sega needs to make Sonic 5. Yes, I know parts 1 and 2 of Sonic 4 had their problems, but honestly, I think those two parts didn't have a clear vision where that miniseries was going. Sonic 5 needs to be a 2D classic Sonic platformer, but keep the nice 2D style gameplay we saw in Sonic Colors and in Sonic Generations, but keep the gameplay closer to the original 4 Genesis titles, but leave in the options for things like the homing attack as something the player can choose to turn on or leave off. However, the game needs to offer a decent length. There should be at least 25 good sized levels, but hell, even better, maybe even 50, and they need to offer as much variety as possible, but not only in the look of each stage, but also allow each stage to have multiple paths. And the reason why I feel this is important is Sonic 5 needs to allow for multiple playable characters. I feel the game should have 4 to at least 8 playable characters from the Sonic universe, and each stage should have multiple paths to allow for each character's special abilities to be taken advantage of. I think this is a good idea because it will allow for a ton of extra gameplay, and the replayability factor will be awesome, and it will allow for maybe up to 8 players playing a stage at once, which would create an insanely new dynamic to the gameplay. Just from the concept, Sonic 5 has the potential to be one badass Sonic game, and if it's made right, it should turn out amazing. Alright, this idea might surprise you guys, but just hear me out. I think Sega should re-release Sonic 06, and before you think I have completely gone insane, just hear me out. Obviously Sonic 06 was an unfinished, rushed mess, which really damaged the Sonic series, but looking at the game, it looked like it had a lot of potential. Yes, the story was not very good, but beyond that, the game had a lot of gameplay options, and a lot of great looking levels and some decent music. Generally this would be the ingredients for a good game, but because of the insanely long load times and tons of glitches, it ruins the game from being a good title. However, let's say Sega had Sonic Team go back and fix every freaking problem in the game, and also add back into the game every cool feature that was either never finished or removed because of the game's rushed development, and release it on the PS3, Xbox 360, PS4 and Xbox One, and maybe the Wii U, but Sega sells the game at a discount. Instead of selling the game at normal retail price, Sega instead sells the game at a considerable discount, where basically Sega is making back the cost of fixing the game and releasing the game on physical medium, but turning a very small profit and passing the savings onto us as an apology. I think this would not only give Sonic 06 a second chance and allow gamers to see this game's true potential, but also help begin restoring Sonic and Sega's brand names and gaining some goodwill with the fanbase. A lot of Sonic fans, believe it or not, actually want a sequel to Sonic 06, and again, as insane as it sounds, this might actually be a good idea. Yes, the story in Sonic 06 wasn't good, but it doesn't mean the story in the sequel could not be improved. Considering the decent variety of gameplay that Sonic 06 offered, a sequel could really step things up and add extra characters and add some new gameplay mechanics, but keep it within the traditional Sonic style gameplay with an improved, better story and a decent variety of characters and gameplay and level designs. A sequel to Sonic 06 has the potential to be a really good Sonic game in the series, and I think it's worth pursuing, but only if Sega first fixes Sonic 06 and releases it at a discount and apologizes to the fanbase. Otherwise this will be a bad idea and the fanbase won't support it. Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 are arguably the best 3D Sonic games ever made, Sonic Adventure 3 could be a really great title if Sonic Adventure 3 was to be created. Then my advice is, take any criticisms Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 had, and simply just fix them. Create an excellent, more serious story, like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 had, and keep the same style of gameplay each character had, but add in some more characters like Silver the Hedgehog, and just add a little more gameplay variety, and some decent multiplayer options. If these measures are taken, I can't see why Sonic Adventure 3 would not turn out great, and would be a major hit. The next Sonic game I think Sega should put out is Sonic Colors 2. Sonic Colors is a really good Sonic game that really helped to bring Sonic back from the fiery ashes of Sonic 06. Sonic Colors is a great game to play, and while yes, it's not perfect, but any complaints about the game are minor. Sonic Colors 2 should feature level design similar to Sonic Colors, and keep the same style gameplay, but maybe double the length of the game, and improve a bit on the controls. As long as the game is made right, Sonic Colors 2 could easily be a great Sonic title. Sonic Generations is a fantastic game in the Sonic series, and it really shows how good Sonic could be, providing us not only excellent 2D levels, giving us a similar gameplay to the original Genesis masterpieces, but also giving us some great 3D stages that are really fun to play. Sonic Generations really did the Sonic series justice, honoring the 20-year anniversary, where Sonic 06 failed to do for the 15-year anniversary. A sequel to Sonic Generations makes total sense, and I think a sequel can be awesome, but some recommendations Sega needs to shoot for. First, try to aim for 60 frames per second, even though, granted, even at 30 frames per second, Sonic Generations felt fast, but Sonic games, in general, are always better at 60 frames per second. The other complaint is, I felt Sonic Generations did not have enough stages. The stages in the game were great, but the game felt a bit short, and while yes, there are a ton of challenges and minigames to play, but I found over time they just got a bit repetitive, and I stopped playing them. For Sonic Generations 2, I recommend that Sega at least double the number of stages in the game, but also do their best to keep a decent amount of variety between them. Sonic Generations is a great game, and despite a few issues, it honored the Sonic series well, so a sequel is definitely an excellent idea, and all Sega has to do is increase the length of the game, and keep the game running at 60 frames per second, and have some decent variety, and it will be an awesome game. And of course, put in some mini games and extra challenges, but only put in so many, and try to keep some variety between them. Sonic Lost World. The Wii U version seems to be a pretty good game, allowing Sonic to have rotating levels and allowing for multiple paths of gameplay. The big complaint I have heard is Sonic is just not fast enough, and yeah, that is a problem. I think Sonic Lost World has a cool style of gameplay, and it's a good game, but in truth, it has not sold very well, and the reason why is because it's exclusive to the Wii U and 3DS, and that is it. My recommendation for Sega is to find a way to get Sonic Lost World at least on the PS4 and Xbox One, because I guarantee game sales will improve, and if you can't pull that off, Sega, then make us a sequel on the PS4 and Xbox One, and just improve the controls a bit, and make Sonic faster, and the game will be a hit. So please Sega, don't abandon this style of gameplay just because it's not selling very well on the Wii U. Sonic Lost World has the makings for a good Sonic game, and either an enhanced port or a sequel are both good ideas and have the recipe for success. Okay, this next one is going to be interesting. If you've played Sonic the Fighters, it's not a bad fighting game, but it does take Sonic and the other characters out of their gameplay element and tries to use them in an entirely different way, which does work, but is obviously a bit strange. Now, you guys remember Sonic the Warthog from Sonic Unleashed, and how it had extendable arms and allowed for close and long distance combat, and created some decent fighting action gameplay elements? Well, imagine this new Sonic fighting game, but instead of playing as Sonic characters, you would be playing as their Warthog counterparts. Imagine it, each Sonic character would have a Warthog form, and each of them would have different style fighting moves, and I think it would have the potential for an excellent brawler. I think it would be a great fighting game, and here's the solid name for it: Sonic the Warthog's Battlegrounds. Sonic All-Stars Racing and Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed are outstanding kart racing games and offer tons of different types of gameplay and have really large character rosters, and the games are just a blast, and they honestly seem to be better than many of the Mario Kart games. As crazy as that is to hear, Sega needs to make a third Sonic All-Stars Racing, but they need to step up their game. Motion controllers might have lost some momentum, but honestly, that has more to do with games either not fully taking advantage of them, or the controls being a mixed bag at best. Well, we all know the Wii motion controls are hit and miss, but the PS Move motion controls are very solid. When I was playing Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed, I kept thinking to myself, this game would have been so much more intense if motion controls had been added. I mean, imagine playing the game as a plane and getting to use motion controls to control your altitude and do sharp turns. I mean, it would have been epic. The next Sonic All-Stars Racing needs to step things up. It needs to offer an even bigger character roster and even more excellent stages and bonus modes. But the biggest thing is the next game needs to have really good motion controls to not only show players how good motion controls can be, but to add an extremely intense new dynamic to the gameplay, but of course, keep a traditional style control system too. The next Sonic All-Stars Racing could be the one to really get the series to become a mega success, but Sega needs to heavily market it and provide the player with a new, more intense form of gameplay, and if they do that, the game will be a hit. Alright, as you guys can see, there are a ton of excellent ideas for the next several Sonic games, and also some great ideas for a few spin-off titles. And after seeing each of these potentially awesome games, can you honestly say that you would not want to play them? I really hope Sega starts listening to the fanbase on what Sonic games they should start making, instead of just trying anything they want, because clearly that's not working. Anyway guys, these are my ideas on what I think the next several Sonic games should be, and I hope Sega takes notice. I will talk to you guys later. This is the Entertainment Wizard, signing off.